incoming hostiles.
Welcome to Ware Gaming Weekly for the week of August 7th, 2019. My name is Nick, and across the world from me, wearing an Avengers shirt next to Spider-Man, is my brother Josh. Say hi, Josh.
Hi, Josh.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you? You've had a busy weekend.
I have. I'm really hot. I have rolled up my short sleeves. I am, smelting in here. I'm smelting in here.
What's the temperature over there?
Right now, the temperature is, according to the Apple one, it's only 83 degrees. But in my house, it's hotter for some reason. I don't know. It just traps heat in. I can't tell you what it is.
Like a microwave.
Yeah. And we don't really use the AC much, so that's another reason why. And also it's 6 o'clock, things are starting to cool off. But I'm hot. This weekend I had a couple friends over on Friday. We just swam and stuff, and they left, and I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna write something, or I'm just gonna start. And it was one of those things where it was like I was gonna come up with an idea and just kind of like let it fester in my brain for a few days, or a few weeks, maybe a week or so, and then really work on it. But then I came up with an idea that I just kind of took to, and I was telling my buddy Jose about it, because I've come up with a ton of ideas that I try to write, and I always hit a brick wall when I do it. And it's like pulling teeth to get me to write something. Even ideas that I am really passionate about, I really like, I'll sit down and write them, and I just can't get it to. But I don't know, this idea that I had immediately worked, and like I saw the whole thing happen. And first night I wrote 20 pages, and then Saturday until 4 a.m. on Sunday I wrote the remaining 60. Which is kind of like saying if every page is a paragraph, I wrote like 60 paragraphs. It's just weird because when you're writing scripts, it's not as much content as if I was writing 60 pages of a novel or something.
Sure,
like that.
sure.
But it still requires a lot of effort and timing and stuff.
So what was the total page count?
89.
Well, if a page is a minute, right? Then
it should be about an hour and a half.
Yeah. About a 90-minute film.
Give or take. But it's just the first draft.
Sure.
And since I just wrote it in less than 36 hours, there's a lot of like
revising.
Yeah. But if you didn't know, this is a gaming podcast, not Nick Talks About Writing Movie Scripts podcast.
Yeah.
We post every Tuesday on youtube.com and on podcast services. You can find out more about us at waregaming.com. And you can tweet to us at waregaming_. And if you want to be a part of the show, you can write into our email, weekly@waregaming.com. We're going to get into the who, what, and the where. So to start us off, we are going to be talking about PlayStation, because we are, what is it called? Sony ponies? Is that what they call it?
Yeah.
PlayStation 4 has sold 1 million units worldwide.
No. Wrong already.
100 million units.
There you go.
100 million worldwide. By Adam Bankhurst, this comes from IGN. PlayStation 4 has officially sold and shipped 100 million units worldwide to retailers as of the 3-month quarter that ended on June 30th, 2019. And Sony's Q1 fiscal year 2019 consolidated financial results announced that 3.2 million PlayStation 4 units had been sold, which would bring the grand total of 96.8 million units back in April to 100 million as of the end of last month. The 3.2 million units sold is up from the 2.6 million units of last quarter, and identical to the 3.2 million earned in the same quarter last year. According to Daniel Ahmad, senior analyst at Nico Partners, PlayStation 4 is now the fastest home console to reach 100 million units sell in at 5 years and 7 months since its launch on November 15th, 2013. This beats out the PlayStation 2's 5 years and 9 months it took to achieve the same goal. PlayStation 4 software sales were at 42.9 million for the past 3 months, up from the 40.6 million of the same period last year, although they were down from the 54.7 million of last quarter. It's also interesting to note that in Q1 fiscal year 2019, the PlayStation 4 game software digital download ratio was 53%, meaning that more people purchased or downloaded digital PS4 software than purchased physical copies. Sony also revealed that there are now 36.2 million PlayStation Plus subscribers, which may be down from the 36.4 million of last quarter, but is up from the 33.9 million of Q1 of 2018. As for the future, Sony is predicting it will sell 15 million PlayStation 4 units throughout its fiscal year in 2019, ending in March 31st, 2020, which is down from the previous estimate of 16 million. Sony has said it is due to lower than expected non-first party software sales and lower than expected PS4 hardware unit sales. Another factor in this decline may also be over inching closer to the upcoming release of the yet to be named PlayStation 5, which may or may not be causing some to wait to see what Sony hasn't planned for the next generation. What I found most interesting about this was the thing you mentioned, that was the digital sales.
Well, I was curious because Kotaku there was a bunch of articles going around, and Kotaku had an article saying that PS4 has shipped 100 million units worldwide, and the first line of this one said, well, the article is PlayStation 4 has sold 100 million units, and those two terms don't mean the same thing. Right. Shipped typically means literally shipped to retailers and third-party sellers, and whereas sold is actually sold to consumers. So I was questioning that until we got to the Daniel Ahmad part of the article where it said the first home console to fastest home console to reach 100 million unit selling. If I can talk.
It was hard to read. It was hard to read the whole thing. So
100 million unit sell in, which means that yes, they have sold 100 million units to consumers. But very interesting. I mean, obviously not the first, won't be the last, but it's good to see that PlayStation is going as strong as ever.
Well. I thought the 50.
Go ahead.
That the 53% ratio, download ratio, I thought was telling. Because we are slowly getting closer to the digital feature. Mm-hmm. Tangent, but I don't think that there will be a 100% digital feature. It'll probably be like 98%.
No. I see people talking about questioning all the time. Oh, I was surprised that the PS5 would have a disk drive, or the next generation would have a disk drive. And I don't know why anybody is surprised that the next generation would have a disk drive. We're not
right.
I mean,
we're not there yet.
We're not there yet. There's too many places around the world that would not be able to play games because there's no disk drive. And they don't have access to high-speed internet to download those games. You would, have to wait 2 weeks for a game to download in some areas. So,
yeah,
that doesn't surprise me. So, but we are getting closer, and as infrastructure improves, we will get closer and closer to that.
The only thing I wish they would have said was what it was before, like in the previous fiscal year.
Sure.
Just because I want to see, is it like a huge change than before? Is it a big one? I mean, you and I are almost exclusively digital now.
Yeah.
I think on a whim, mainly because I guess missed the feeling of shopping for games at GameStop. I bought Battlefield 1 and another game or so. But and my PSVR games, most of them are physical too for some reason because they were cheaper to get.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think all this is interesting and good stuff.
Yep.
Though it probably won't help that there's this trade tariff.
Right. But before I bring that up, there was an article I did pull because most of that stuff was actually reiterated in this first article about the 100 million units sold. But the PlayStation side of it brought up Sony's. Let me look at that headline. PlayStation propels Sony to the best Q1 operating profit ever. So, and that was from Push Square. I'm not going to read the whole article because basically reiterates most of what we've already just read. But interesting to note that while other areas of Sony are down, PlayStation is carrying the weight of Sony's profit.
In a way, I kind of thought that it always was. I mean, I've never bought a Sony TV. Sony movies are now owned by. No, that's not true. That's Fox. Anyway, let's continue.
All right. So Sony warns PlayStations will cost more if Chinese tariffs continue. Trump's trade war would directly impact console production.
Okay, can we just talk about for the moment? The Chinese tariffs continue Trump's trade war. Like, even though it's a C in Chinese, the ch and the t and the k is like
the ch and the t and the k.
Go ahead and do it one more time.
Sony warns PlayStations will cost more if Chinese tariffs continue. Trump's trade war would directly impact console production. Now, we've talked about this a few times in the past. We know the tariffs are going to be a problem. We saw where Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo wrote a letter saying, hey, this is not going to be good for the American economy, as on top of not being good for them. So this is from Dami Lee over at The Verge. Sony has warned that the PlayStation consoles PlayStation consoles will be more expensive if the Trump administration goes ahead with higher tariffs on more Chinese exports, the Wall Street Journal reports. The Trump administration, which raised tariffs from 10% to 25% on $200 billion worth of Chinese goods this past May, is now threatening to expand tariffs to an additional $300 billion worth of Chinese exports, which would include video game consoles. In preparation for the potential expansion of tariffs, Sony says it's now considering its options, including passing the cost of production onto its consumers. The Wall Street Journal paints the price increase as a necessary step if the tariffs continue, though one Sony exec clarified that nothing has been decided yet. Quote, we believe and therefore have told the U.S. government that higher tariffs would ultimately damage the U.S. economy, end quote. Sony's financial chief Hiroki Todoki said today. Sony teamed up with Microsoft and Nintendo, and we talked about that. The 7-page letter estimated that consumers would have about $840 million in costs shifted directly to them, and 200,000 American jobs would be at risk. In preparation for the potential tariffs, console makers have begun confronting whether to take their manufacturing businesses out of China. Last month, Nintendo started moving production of its new Switch models from China to Southeast Asia. However, neither Sony or Microsoft have recently refuted reports of the company taking Xbox production out of China, have made any moves yet. That's just to keep the conversation going that the tariffs are, still looming. We just want to keep that in mind as the next generation moves forward. I mean, that could potentially even affect the cost of PS4s currently. If whenever this tariff would take place, it would immediately affect the cost of consoles and hardware. So,
I think the last time that we brought this up, it was probably when we were reading the letters, or at least talking about the letters. And it was kind of more of an idea, but now like PlayStation is expressly saying like this is going to happen, and it will be on them, on the consumers, to have to carry the burden, as it were.
Right.
It's not looking good. I don't want to have to pay more money for my consoles than I already have to.
Right.
So I wonder what that markup would be if I already had to pay $300, $400 for a console. If that would mark it up to like $5 and $6 per thing or more.
Yeah. I mean, could we see, because of the tariffs, the return of that $5.99 US?
Let's hope not.
Yeah, I can't imagine that that just wouldn't go over well. Two, I mean, if it goes up too far, I mean, that would put even like us out of getting it day one. Like,
yeah, and it puts it into like PC category sometime on how much things would cost, or like those VR headsets and stuff that are super expensive.
Yeah. All right.
E3 accidentally leaks personal details of journalists, YouTubers, and analysts, and there are over 2,000 names on the list. Comes from Christopher Dring at gamesindustry.biz. Though this was a big thing on the internet just recently. Everyone was talking about it, and to our world, this was almost worse than Equifax breach. The way people were responding to it. I mean, I'm not saying that it's not bad, but I'm just like the way it was like responded to. I was like, oh wow.
Yeah.
The private details of 2025 games industry journalists and video producers have been leaked online. The list was accessible via the website through a download link. Organizers, the Entertainment Software Association, told GamesIndustry.biz that they regret the occurrence and have removed the link. The list includes names, publications, home addresses, email addresses, and phone numbers of games journalists, streamers, and YouTube creators, plus financial analysts and investors. ESA was made aware of a website vulnerability that led to the contact list of registered journalists attending E3 being made public, the trade body said in a statement. Once notified, we immediately took steps to protect that data and shut down the site, which is no longer available. We regret this occurrence and have put measures in place to ensure it will never happen again. The list exists so that publishers and developers can invite analysts and media events to private viewings and take place during the E3 show. This leak was discovered by YouTube creator Sophia Narwitz. Updated. The ESA has since released a full explanation and apology for the data leak, which reads as, the statement read, the ESA was made aware yesterday of a website vulnerability on the exhibitor portal section of the E3 website. Unfortunately, a vulnerability was exploited and this list became public. We regret that this happened and we are sorry. We provide ESA members and exhibitors immediate lists on password-protected exhibitor sites so they can invite you to E3 press events, connect with you for interviews, and let you know that we are showcasing. For more than 20 years, there have never been an issue, and when we found, we took down the E3 exhibitor portal and ensured the immediate list was no longer available on the E3 website. Again, we apologize for the inconvenience and have already taken steps to ensure this will not happen again. My question for you, is this going to affect E3?
No, that's not going to affect E3. I mean, luckily, we're not talking like payment details and social security numbers, but for,
I mean, there are home addresses and phone numbers.
I was going to say, but for YouTube creators and journalists, like that stuff, home addresses, email addresses, phone numbers is as damaging for those guys as it would be to have their social security number taken, because their entire business and organization, not to mention their home addresses, are reliant on effective communication. And if their email addresses and phone numbers are now at the hands of spam, just anybody who gets a hold of the people who took whatever's on there,
anyone who's a fan of something,
right.
Like if that got on Reddit, if that got on whatever, which I'm sure it did, then now you can just call up your favorite.
So now those, especially the popular ones, are faced with, okay, do we have to move? Do we have to change our email addresses? And, if I change my email address, all those contacts that I have, I'll have to email them all my new address or, and phone number. And so that could be, I mean,
I am curious to
quite
see,
a headache.
I'd like to hear from those kinds of people what kind of things they are doing, if they're doing anything. Like if they start getting mail from strange people, or just more amounts of contact than they would have before, or if I didn't even know this thing happened until it was already taken down. Not that I tried to look for it or anything, but I just figured okay, this happened and it's over. So.
It sounds to me like this was on a website. Like they were saying, this was a link that if you were an exhibitor, you could click on and enter a password. And you would log into the portal, and then you would have access to all the sites and media outlets that are confirmed to attend. So you could send out a blanket email, or you could contact specific creators saying, hey, we're going to do this or that, or I need to mail them something. So that's why their home addresses would be on there, or business addresses or what have you. So it sounds like this link was intentional to be there. It was just not intentional that it was accessible by anybody.
And though I am curious if it's I'm rereading this thing, and it said, is it just like a breach, or is it that someone who was one of those people who an organizer personally leaked it? I just don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how you were able to exploit it. If the list was just click on it and you got the list, that's not really an exploit. That's a failure to protect. But I don't know. I mean, obviously, it's on the ESA to make sure all that information is protected. So they dropped the ball here.
Yeah.
I don't think this spells like disaster for ESA more than anything else. It's just an unfortunate.
Well, yeah,
it's an unfortunate one of those many unfortunate byproducts of having the internet is things like this are going to happen.
I saw some like rhetoric online on groups and stuff that was like publishers pulling out of E3 isn't what's going to shut down ESA. They're going to do it themselves. E3, and I was like, I mean, this is not to, like make this any small thing. I think it's just like E3 it will continue to happen because gamers love games more than they love people knowing where their address is. I just that's how I look at it. It's probably not the professional way to look at it. That's just when I see it, I don't see it affecting things the way it seems other people do. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm probably am. Tell us about Destiny, Josh.
All right, I put this on there obviously because Destiny, speaks to us, and just thought it was, good to pass on the knowledge. Bungie delays free-to-play Destiny 2 to October. Developer says...
Crap, I was waiting.
Yeah. Developer says newfound independence means it can take longer to ensure the best transition. From James Batchelor at GamesIndustry.biz, Bungie has announced... Bungie has announced that Destiny 2's Shadowkeep and New Light expansions have been delayed. Both were due for release on September 17th, but an update via the developer's website reveals they will now launch on October 1st. The studio said that as the September window approached, it has become increasingly clear to us that our releases for this fall would benefit from a bit more time in the oven. Quote, being independent means the future of Destiny 2 is entirely on our team. It also means that we're agile enough to choose what to do, what's best for the game and our players, even if it's the hard choice. This fall is the first step on a journey for what our team wants Destiny 2 to become, a place for you and your friends to play anytime, anywhere, owning the action, MMO and RPG elements that we love about the game, and crushing barriers to entry for friends. We just need a bit of extra time to take that first step. The goal of crushing barriers refers in particular to New Light, a free-to-play version of Destiny 2 designed to expand the audience. This is the first release Bungie has handled since it parted ways with Activision earlier this year. Instead of seeking another publisher, the developer has decided to push forward with Destiny independently, giving it complete control over its release dates. Destiny has been a September staple. The original launched in 2014.
That's true.
Major expansions: The Taken King, Rise of Iron, Destiny 2, and Forsaken, all released in the same window. Bungie has assured there will still be plenty of Destiny activity this September, with an additional Iron Banner event and an extension of the current Moments of Triumph challenges. Quote, we didn't make this decision lightly. We know for some of you, us too, Destiny releases are events where you take time off of work or develop, well, hopefully they don't take time off of work during that release. Or develop a sudden sickness that keeps you from school or work. We get it. A bunch of our team takes some time off to go on their own Destiny jacket quests.
Well, that explains why there's a delay.
Right. We're sorry for screwing up your plans, and we wanted to share this information as quickly as we could. So
that's fun. That's a fun way to end that.
Yeah. I think people are going to give Bungie all the benefit of the doubt at this time until they mega drop the ball or something. Destiny fans are excited about having an Activision free Destiny. See, and you're talking what 2.5 weeks of a delay is not a big deal. And so this is just
I'm interested in there's a delay. Enjoy it in October. I'm curious for you who's probably more in the know. Like, I play the game and I have fun, but I don't have a critical eye on playing the game. Like, I'll be like, oh, this is fun, or I suck at this, so I'm not playing it. But you might know more of, like, anytime there was controversy around Destiny or Destiny 2, it was very technical stuff. Oh, it feels too much like this, or it doesn't feel enough like this. And to me, honestly, playing both games felt similar, even though I liked the kind of content in Destiny 2 more. Does that make any sense? Does that statement make sense? Not the question.
I mean, Destiny 2 feels like just a better Destiny 1. I mean, it's
right. I'm just people, but I'm saying, like, there are people who can tell you that, oh, there's like this drop rate and there's this stuff and there's all this stuff that, like, is super important to them that Activision was messing up. I guess my real question is, what are they excited for now that Activision's not?
Well, I mean, there were many things, like when Destiny 2 first released, I mean, a lot of what had made the end of Destiny 1 really good was not there. So
That's true.
remember they and the beginning of Destiny 2, they were really catering to trying to bring as many people in as possible. Anybody could jump in. It was a casual game, so the progression wasn't strong. The end game wasn't strong.
Are they not afraid that this is going to be that? Because now that it's going to be a free to play.
No, because they're talking about embracing the MMORPG elements, whereas until this release window, until they've broken away, they wouldn't even mention that they were kind of an MMORPG. They didn't want to scare anybody away with saying they were an MMO or it was a deep RPG. They didn't want to do that, and so they didn't. But everybody who played it wanted that. And so with them saying, "Hey, we're going full RPG," and some of the stuff we've seen in the Vidocs and the developer diaries have shown that they're really bringing depth to the armor system and the weapon system, that you can start crafting your own destiny. Then, so with things like that and them showing a lot more of that RPG stuff, that's what people are excited about.
Okay.
Not to mention they're toning down on the Eververse microtransactions. They're making it more feel like a game that isn't making you buy things, and the fact that buying things isn't going to make things better.
Right. Cool. I just wanted to hear your perspective on that.
And I haven't played Destiny in forever, but I continue to keep my eye on it because I want to get back in it one day.
A Special Effect announces One Special Day 2019. Over 50 game companies join the global fundraising effort for players with disabilities. This is from Hayden Taylor at gamesindustry.biz. Accessibility charity Special Effect has announced the return of its annual fundraising event, One Special Day. Scheduled for Friday, October 4th this year, it has over 50 partners, including Sega, Codemasters, Jagex, and Zynga. As ever, some companies will be donating an entire day's income from sales, while others will stage their own fundraising events. Since launching in 2016, One Special Day has raised over £900,000 with support from developers and players around the world. All proceeds go directly to Special Effects so it can continue its work making games accessible to people with disabilities. We are overjoyed with the response again this year and very grateful to our One Special Day partners, said CEO and co-founder Dr. Mick Donegan. The day unites the worldwide games industry and their fantastic communities of gamers because they all understand what incredible work we're doing here. Special Effect has a profoundly positive impact on the lives of disabled gamers, and events like One Special Day play a huge role in enabling us to reach more in the coming year. Also signing up this year is Rocksteady, Space Ape, Miniclip, Seriously, Outfit 7, and Rare.
Nice.
Because of their unique work, Special Effect holds a special place in our heart, and indeed the whole of the video games industry. So we're looking forward to making One Special Day 2019 the biggest so far, said Rare studio head Craig Duncan. Rich Eddy, director of communications at Jagex, added, "Our RuneScape community has celebrated Special Effects' incredible work for many years. There was no question that Jagex would be a proud supporter of this year's events and play a big part in One Special Day. By putting the fun and inclusion back into the lives of those with physical disabilities to play video games, the work of Special Effect really levels the playing field." So this is a really awesome thing, but I just have one small thing to say, is that Rocksteady can come to this,
but not E3, not the Game Awards.
This
nothing.
is more important in a way. So
this is much more important. Not really much to say on it other than that. I like to put these stories in here, talk about fundraising events and things like that.
Yeah,
so.
I guess I'm curious. Are you supposed to go to a website, or is this an event like if you buy something from from Special Effect,
that's a good question. Let me see if I can look it up real quick. One Special.
Right, while you do that, I'll go ahead and read the next
one.
PlayStation Plus free games for August: Wipeout, Omega Collection, Sniper 4 Elite. That's from the PlayStation blog. And then Xbox games with gold from the Xbox Wire. Gears of War 4 is available from August 1st to the 31st on Xbox One. Forza Motorsport 6 available August 16th to September 15th on Xbox One. Torchlight comes available August 1st to the 15th on Xbox One and Xbox 360. And Castlevania Lords of Shadows available August 16th to 31st on Xbox One and Xbox 360.
All right, I'm at their website. It's onespecialday.org.uk. Okay. You can go there and look it up. In the 2 minutes I've looked, it doesn't really say like exactly what they're doing. If it's like some kind of live stream or that gives you ways to get involved and kind of what they do in general. But as far as the event, One Special Day, not sure what exactly goes on. So, but definitely keep an eye out for it. Look it up. It's a really neat thing that we can all get together and do.
Yeah. So, did you have one more story?
I did have one more story. This is going on Twitter. I thought it was interesting. None of the major news sites are bringing it up for reasons that are, controversial. But this is from Dexerto.com. Michael Gwilliam. Colin Moriarty claims PAX misled his fans by canceling his PlayStation panel. So, for those who don't know, Colin Moriarty is a right-leaning, more central-leaning political voice on the internet, but he's best known for his work on the PlayStation podcast from IGN, Podcast Beyond, as well as the Kind of Funny guys. He helped start Kind of Funny, and then there was a big controversy that happened, and he left. So he started his own company called Colin's Last Stand, and from there, I'll just read what the article is saying. Moriarty said he received an email from PAX on July 30th telling him that his Sacred Symbols podcast, the panel, had been removed from the event, but didn't specify.
Well, he had an event. Oh, does that say in the article?
Yeah. It's saying it had been removed. So they had already told him that he could have his event and to tell his fans to be there. So back to the article. They told him his Sacred Symbols podcast panel had been removed from the event, but didn't specify as to why. A screen grab of the email titled panel schedule change was posted on Moriarty's Twitter account. Quote, PAX West rescinded Sacred Symbols panel today, so if you were planning to go, sorry. I asked why, and I'm waiting on a response, he said before showing the email. And they responded, apologies, we fortunately have to remove your panel from the PAX West 2019 schedule. We apologize for any confusion and are happy to still issue special guest badges to you and the folks who had designated as speakers, so you would still have access to the show for all 4 days. So basically, they told him he could come. They said they gave him a theater, a venue. They told him his fans could come, and then rescinded that offer, canceled his panel, but still offered to give him passes for PAX.
Maybe, hey, you can still come.
Yeah, you can still come and spend money. And Sacred Symbols host replied to the email asking why the panel had been removed and voiced concerns that people had already bought passes to the event to see him and Chris Raygun, his co-host. This is his quote. I must admit I'm saddened by this, not only because I think it's pretty obvious, quote, what happened, but also because I was actually looking forward to doing our show there, end quote. Colin stated in a follow-up tweet, it was dumb to think that we'd get a fair shake, and obviously I won't be trying to do this again. I'm sorry. In an update, Colin said he sent a second email asking again why the panel was canceled. He was told explicitly to tell his, and after he was told explicitly to tell his audience about it, and even had access to PAX's panel backend to refine the name, description, and more. On July 31st, Moriarty sent a third email to PAX. Quote, I've been advised that under the legal standard of promissory estoppel, your organization is indeed responsible for offering an avenue for refunds for those you misled, and as Chris and I were also misled parties, we will need the capital we invested into this panel back. But the important thing right now is making sure those affected in my audience are taken care of if they don't want to go anymore. Now, I'm not going to keep going through this. I just think the PAX West is a very popular gaming convention that they signed up to do a panel. They were approved by PAX to do a PlayStation podcast. We're not a political podcast, not, anything weird. And then they told him, go ahead, start inviting your fans. And then they did all that, and then the rug was pulled out from under them. And they also followed up and said that they would not be offering refunds to the fans because panels are in their terms and conditions are set to change. I thought this was something to bring up because not many people are talking about it. Colin himself, after they said they would not be offering refunds, offered his fans refunds up to a certain amount. I think 20. Said he would offer refunds to 20 of his fans because PAX wouldn't. That's all I really wanted to bring up.
So for this, so here's the thing, and this is me. This may not be Josh. This is my opinion on the whole thing. And so let me get it out because sometimes it takes me long to talk if you haven't already figured that out yet. There are times when there is someone who's invited to an event who's controversial, and they're controversial because they're a bad person. And when they get removed from the event, it is applauded. The people who remove them are applauded. There have been times when a bad person's in a TV show and that person in that TV show gets fired because they were a bad person. And that's a good thing. This is not that. There have been times where there has been many things that I really disagree with him on politically, but I don't go to him for those things. Sometimes I'm interested in his perspective because he looked at things in a much different way in a different way than I do. But that's not what any of this is about. This is about people. This is me projecting my thoughts on what happened. People don't like this person. People don't want to go to a thing that has this person there, and they feel like that this person being there is like, what's the term? Validating his personal opinions, which is just not what that is.
No.
And here's another thing. There are so many. I have the people that I listen to in the games industry. There's podcasts that I listen to. There's people I listen to. There are hundreds and hundreds of people that I've never heard of and probably would really hate to listen to. I would not rejoice one bit if they did not have if they were told this, that they could have their little thing and then not.
Right. And the point is, one, if they didn't give a reason. They have not stated a reason. They didn't say there was a scheduling conflict, that the venue went down. They gave literally no reason.
Like that, even if there was the reason that I just said, but they said, hey, we're sorry, we couldn't book you anymore because just like what you're saying, it'd been fine.
And then it's not like this was an alt-right PlayStation show. It's just a PlayStation podcast where they just talk about PlayStation. And I think the plan was they were going to go in and do like Q&A, it was just an hour and 50 minutes of fans asking questions. And
and then I don't really listen to the podcast, but if I'm not mistaken, this would have been like their first live appearance as Sacred Symbols.
Totally, their first live experience event, and they were both excited about it. Chris has never done anything like that. This would be Colin's first public event since leaving Kind of Funny, and Kind of Funny has 2 panels at PAX West.
Really?
Yeah. So not only that, it would have been the first time you could have seen all of them together in the same venue since the big breakup. He's a center libertarian. He left a Republican Party. Like, he's not even a Republican anymore. So
yeah. I thought you said he's a sinner.
He's a sinner. No, he's an atheist, so he doesn't care. So I just think it's important to bring this up because if this was anybody else, someone, if a few weeks ago, Greg Miller got an email. He was banned from E3 because
and everyone was joking.
Everybody on Twitter started going off about it. And then if it had progressed to more than a couple days, it would have been IGN News. It would have been everywhere. Because it's Greg Miller, one of the most biggest names in games journalism, and just as a figurehead, he's a popular host of many panels. And so if they had just said Kind of Funny can't come because for no reason, that would be news. And because Colin is a controversial figure, you can't talk about Colin on certain websites because they'll just ban you. I think a lot of these sites are not giving him his due. He worked hard in the industry. He was a prominent PlayStation figure at IGN, and the fact that all of a sudden he's hated because for no reason.
He shares a few different opinions.
Yeah, he shares a different opinion
on something that's not related to his work.
So I wanted to bring that up. I know it's controversial, and some people may not like Colin, and that's fine. I don't, you can not like somebody. It's just bizarre to me why this culture is okay to bash someone who's legitimately made his way through the game's journalism. Sorry, that was a tangent. I just thought I'd bring it up. But
Yeah. Did I tell you? I told you. I didn't tell them that I finished Red Dead Redemption
congratulations.
2. I did not finish the epilogue, so maybe I have not technically rolled credits. I guess I've completed most of everything that I've wanted to really bad, and then the epilogue I'll get to. Not that I don't want to play it. It's just I've
finished the epilogue.
It was a lot.
Finish the epilogue.
Okay, fine, whatever. But I don't want to talk anymore. See, the thing is about spoiling this game is that if it's been a year for me to beat this game, I can only.
Yeah, we're not going to talk. We're not going to spoil anything for them, but you have to finish the epilogue.
Okay, I will.
I did download. I think I interrupted your thought. Go ahead.
No, that was it. I mean, I'm not gonna. I think the last 2 podcasts I've spent at least 5 or so minutes talking about the game, so you can go listen to those if you want to hear my opinions. But I just wanted you to know that I finished.
I played a little bit of Crash Bandicoot, a little bit more.
Oh yeah.
I played the second mini boss. Let me tell you, it was super frustrating because it was like you're on a river or whatever, and you have these 9 squares you have to jump around, and while this other character is jumping, that if he lands on you, it kills you. And then you have these giant TNT blocks that you have to jump on that are flowing in the water. Depth in that game is terrible. Trying to jump from block to block, because it's not like a top down, it's more isometric. So you're trying to jump in this 3D plane where it was just terrible to judge. And every time you died, you started from the beginning of the encounter. It didn't there was 3
do a mid check. Yeah.
There was you had to hit them 3 times with these bombs that you had to try to jump and avoid this jumping character, and try to jump on these blocks that were in the water and not land in the water. And it was awful. I missed jumps just left and right. I was probably doing that battle for 30 minutes trying to jump, and you only had to hit them 3 times. So
That's
it was frustrating. And then I only played a couple more levels after I finally got through that, and I was like, okay, I can't anymore.
Yeah, that's how I was getting with Katana Zero. I'm reaching the end of that game. It's getting really hard, and it's more like it's always kind of been this way, but it's becoming even more and more of a dance with it, of just knowing the moves. Not in the same way of people would argue with me saying, well, no, it's not like Celeste. I'm like, no, it's not like Celeste. It's easier than Celeste, sure. But I'm just saying it's getting to the point where you go through the whole level and you finally get to the last thing, and then a character who you didn't know was going to be there pops out and kills you, and you're like, oh my god. So in a way it's fun, because then you're like, oh, that character's going to come out, so now I know what I can do.
And then when you get...
They change where the guy comes from. So one time he came out from the top floor, and then the next time he came out from the bottom floor, and I was not expecting that. I'm like, oh, he for 3 tries, he kept coming out from the top. And so I finally figured out how to get him from the top. And then he wasn't there. I'm like, oh, did I already get him? And then I dropped down to this next section, and he was there, and he just shoots me. I'm like, oh. So, yeah.
Yeah.
It switches it up on me.
But it does feel good once you finally know all the moves. You're just pixel perfect on every jump and roll, and you do a partial freeze, and then you click, freeze, stop, or you get to the point where you don't even have to freeze time anymore. That's that's fun, because now you're just doing it in real time, and you're just that quick at it.
But I have to do that with the new map. I have to do it. But if I've played the same level over and over again trying to not die, then hitting bullets back at the people, easy. Roll, slap, roll, slap. Yeah, we're good.
Jump, throw the bomb. There was one level I did where basically it was very similar to what you were saying. There was just this one guy at the end I could not get past. I was able to do basically the whole level without freezing time at all, frame. And that just felt really cool.
Yeah. Sucks you can't play it anymore.
Yeah, I keep thinking about the Switch. If the Switch Lite would connect to the TV, I would get it.
Yeah.
If it would just connect to the TV, because I want it, because it's not a Switch if it doesn't connect to the TV. And I want to feel that D-pad, see if it's a really good D-pad. I just can't. And then I was going to hop into The Witcher 3.
Oh, really?
I downloaded it because one of the YouTube guys I watch, You might know him from Because Science.
Oh,
Kyle.
Kyle?
Someone had asked him what his favorite video game of all time, and he says currently it's The Witcher 3. He just 100%ed The Witcher 3 and all the DLCs, and he listed games that I would consider in my top favorite games of all time, which led me to think I would probably like this game, like God of War, Horizon, Spider-Man. He listed all those, and I was like, okay, well, if this beat out those, and those are his top games, I might actually enjoy this one. And it's a third-person RPG, which helps.
Yeah. So I tried starting it when I was still back in Kentucky, and I was having a hard time with it, but it was still at the same right before we bought Red Dead, so it was like I didn't really want to get into it, and I probably will. But I'm surprised that out of everyone who's told you how good that game is, or who has just mentioned it on the internet or whatever, it took the Because Science guy to
Yeah, I mean, I've always heard it's good, and I'm sure it is, and I still may not like it. It might just be too dense for me. But
well, hearing what you had to say, you said this to me either off the air one day or on the air, that games that have just too much stuff bother you because you want to get it all done. And I remember when this game came out, that's what, since we talked about him, Colin said. He's like, he can't finish Witcher 3 because there's just too much stuff.
Yeah.
Fallout 4, same way. So I'm interested to see if you see the map. I haven't seen it yet either. If you see the map open, I'm just like, nope.
Yeah.
Out.
I mean, I still beat Assassin's Creed Black Flag. I remember that one was just like ridiculous with the amount of like.
You didn't 100%
no,
it either, though.
But I wasn't trying to. So if I go into it like that and only do the side missions as I want and not feel obligated to hit everything, I think it'd be fine. And as long as there's like a clear direction of what I'm supposed to be doing, unlike Skyrim, which I hopped into and I got lost in the mountains somewhere, and I was like, it was going to take too long to walk back, and I just like, no, I'm done.
Anything else you've been playing?
No.
Or is that it really?
I think that's it. I think now we're down to what's out this week.
Games out this week? All right. Out this week. Must Dash Amigo comes to PC and Xbox One on August 7th. The Forbidden Arts comes to Xbox One, PC, and Switch on August 7th. 7th. Damsel comes to PC, phones, Switch, and Xbox One on August 7th. Pillars of Eternity Complete Edition comes to Switch on August 8th. Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet Complete Edition comes to Switch on August 9th. And Friday the 13th, the game Ultimate Slasher Edition comes to Switch on August 13th.
There was another...
And that's our show.
There was another
go ahead.
Game that was a surprise. It was coming to Switch. And let me write it down. It was Outer Worlds. It's coming to Switch.
I have a notification of it on my screen right now. It's popped up.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
But
I can't imagine how that would run. I saw an article a couple weeks ago, maybe it was last week, about EA not having their games on Switch, not having a whole lot of their games on Switch.
Yeah.
And I just thought, what would be fun on Switch is The Sims.
Yeah. Well, and the only reason people don't want their games on Switch is because they do a terrible job of porting their games. Yeah. I mean, people would buy a portable FIFA or Madden if they didn't halfway do their ports. But you hear them do a port, and then the reviews come out, and it's like, well, it's a 6 compared to the console the full console version being like an 8 or 8.5, and then the port is a 6. Well, no one's gonna. Why would I buy it there? Because they just obviously didn't care. They were just trying to cash in. If they would.
It reminds me of when there was a Spider-Man game that you could get on the PSP, or you could get it anywhere. The same Spider-Man, I think, is like The Amazing Spider-Man. You can get on PSP, you can get it on Wii, you can get it on Wii U, you can get it on PS3 or 2 or whatever, and it would have been 3. But you had to look at the back of the box to see like which version you wanted to get, because if you got the version on PSP, nope.
Yeah.
Nothing. Well, that's our show. As always, Ware Gaming Weekly posts on Tuesday. As now. Ware Gaming Weekly posts on Tuesdays on YouTube.com and on podcast services. And we're on like 9 different podcast services right now. So if you don't want to watch our video, which is just a blank screen with audio going across, go listen to our podcast. You can do it anywhere. You can write into us at weekly@waregaming.com. You can go to our website at waregaming.com. You can tweet to myself at Speak
And
Nicklish.
you can tweet at me at Jaws1015. And until next week, say goodbye, Nick.
Goodbye, Nick.